You can't create because you have a consumption problem. I deal with this every day. It has been a struggle for my entire life. Being addicted to consumption. Now, what I want you guys to truly understand is that you'll never be able to create or let those creative juices flow or get out and find your purpose, find what you were meant to do and creatively express it if you are always consuming the distractions around us. I have been such a fucking addict, and honestly, it's ruined my life. I mean, I'm not saying I have a bad life now, but my past life, it ruined me. The overconsumption of social media, the overconsumption of video games, the overconsumption of movies, entertainment, just distractions. I mean, if it was books, it would have been fine, right? Because at least I learned something if you apply it. Consumption is the biggest problem we have in today's society. That's the entire reason that the biggest industry in the world is porn. That's the reason that Apple is one of the biggest companies. Microsoft is one of the biggest companies in the world, because they profit off of keeping you distracted. When you're distracted, you cannot find yourself. You cannot find what's within you, that creative power that's been given to us, that God-given power. You cannot find it. And what does that mean for them? Well, it means that you can't learn about yourself, learn about your true power, and take back the control that we have over this earth, over our self, essentially, right? Not to get conspiratorial on you guys or anything, but, I mean, we all kind of know, right? We all kind of know that the government, that's just a subsidiary of it. You know, the people that rule this world, whoever it may be, the powers in place, they don't want people enlightened. Because imagine if all 8 billion of us got together and truly understood our power as creative beings, there would be no slavery. There would be no violence. It would just be prosperous, because that's the opportunity God has given us. That's the reason why we are here. But they found a way to exploit us and to keep us from even discovering that exploitation. They keep us in a state of distraction, in a state of consumption, right? Overeating foods. Why do you think the obesity rate is so high? Consumption. They got people addicted to consuming food, especially processed and unhealthy food. Consumption is the biggest problem that we face right now. Everybody is so distracted. I understand the politics directly affect your life. I agree with that completely. And they're not to be ignored. But we spend so much time watching the news and letting it consume our thoughts, letting it consume our creative energy, letting it consume space in our minds. And then we wonder why we're not organized. We wonder why we're so confused, why we're so stressed out all the time, why we're always in a fight or flight, and why we can't be creative. But by the way, also, if you're always in a fight or flight, you cannot be creative. That's survival mode. Think of it like, Minecraft is kind of correct, whether they did that on purpose or not, right? Survival mode and creative mode. Survival. You are in survival mode. All you're focusing on is surviving, whether it's food, shelter, or reproducing, whatever. Right? We can all think of examples that correlate with each of those. But when you're stuck in survival mode, you can't be in creative mode. You cannot create. Does this make sense? Notice how rich people, right? At least the ones who did it correctly, like, music artists that are signed independently. Notice how they have more time, and with that time, they create even greater projects, and they're more creative, and they make a bigger impact on the world culturally, pop culturally, whatever it may be. They make a bigger impact on the world than the average person who may work harder than that music artist. They may go bust their ass at a blue-collar job for 14 hours a day, right? But that blue-collar person isn't creating anything. I mean, it's obviously the physical creations of what they're doing at work, but they're not creating anything spiritually, if that makes sense, like the music artist would be doing. That music will forever affect people and will forever exist on the earth, right? That building that blue-collar worker made, it may stand for a few hundred years, but it'll eventually fall and it will be forgotten about. I'm not discrediting, because that's exactly what I do, and I say, it's exactly what I've been doing. But we have to understand the difference. And the fact that we all possess creative power, like, just because you're blue collar and you work harder doesn't mean that they're better than you. It just means they've accessed it when you haven't found out how to, because you're so busy consuming. Because when you work that blue collar job, you go home and you immediately start drinking, you immediately get on TikTok. On your breaks, you're on your phone watching YouTube, just mindlessly consuming. That music artist, most of them went to a place of solitude. Most of them, when they were in prison, they were thinking of these ideas. They were finding themselves. And then, you know, from finding themselves, they were able to express that in their music and express it creatively. You know, painting artists, you know, like physical artists as well, people that make physical art, same thing. They had to find themselves. They were the oddball out, and they were in solitude. Their whole child. Obviously, this is an example. It varies, but they were by themselves. They were in solitude as a child. They were so invested into their skill, into their creative outlet, that they didn't even care to consume. They didn't care to go on YouTube and distract themselves because they hated their lives. Maybe they hated their lives, but what they understood was that they can get out of that, or they can express the hatred for their lives and turn it into something positive through their creative outlet, therefore not having to consume anything, but instead creating. It's a fine balance. If you notice, like, I mean, I'm getting deep into the whole thing, but the whole point is, stop consuming. Stop picking up that phone every time you get bored. I do the same thing. I catch myself every fucking day. When I got nothing to do, I just start scrolling on TikTok. It's the biggest addiction. And the only reason I have TikTok installed still on my phone is to post videos, you know, short form videos for you guys on there. Link in the description, by the way, shameless plug. But that's the only reason. If I didn't have VEXED, a VEXED account on TikTok, I wouldn't even be on it. There's nothing valuable on there. In fact, I get pissed off and I start, you know, it kind of ruins my day when I catch myself scrolling on TikTok. But you need to be, if you're going to be consuming, by the way, which we all have to consume eventually, or we have to eat, we have to, you know, entertainment. I'm not saying stop watching entertainment in general. If you're going to, though, if you're going to do it a lot, at least try to make the switch to where you're learning something, where you're mastering a skill, where you're consuming videos about a business you want to be in, about self-improvement, about something that's beneficial. Not Mr. Beast's newest YouTube video where he gives away $1 million. Not all this fucking stupid bullshit. It's a bunch of fucking horseshit. And I've noticed that. I've noticed it's a bunch of fucking horseshit, and it just rots your brain. And all of these years are catching up to me. From elementary school, second, third grade, till now. Or till a year ago when I started, you know, changing my life. I just spit all over the camera. But from second grade until about a year ago, all of that just insane consumption is catching back up to me. And my mind, it feels like I'm just, like, it feels like it's just, like, I'm at a flat line sometimes. Like, I can't think of anything. I can't get creative. And what I've realized is I have to reset my brain. I have to wean off of all the, you know, wean off of all the, you know, the consumption of the media and whatnot, which I have been doing for a year, but that's not long enough. I need to continue doing so, put myself through isolation, and start expressing my creativity more often. I get ideas like, oh, I want to try to make a song today, or I want to make some more, you know, clothing designs to express my creativity for the VEXED brand and all this. And then I go to do it, and I'm like, I'm bored, and I'm like fighting this boredom feeling because we just crave the, you know, the social media and whatnot, and I end up not being able to create anything. I just had this creative block, and I give up on it. It's like I'm gonna start. This is just a call to action to myself. I'm gonna start, you know, just expressing my creativity more often than not. And that's what I got for you guys today. I hope you can think about your life and your choices as if this is a therapy session. But think about your life and your choices. Like, are you consuming to benefit yourself, or are you just consuming to consume? And will it catch up to you? I mean, what if you decide you want to be a rapper in a year? What if you decide you want to be an artist? What if you decide you want to write a book? What if you decide you want to start a business that takes creativity? What if you decide you want to be a dreamer and you want to dream this new fucking life for yourself, and you're not able to because you've been consuming? That's where the discipline comes in. I got plenty of videos about that. Anyways, I love you guys. We will catch you in the next video. VEXED family.
Я Потом будет гладить свои лапки, я буду говорить, что у меня все в порядке.